Entry 11. Tonight I left a deviation with intent to be multivalent. A stone that looks like a pebble. A sentence that could be dismissed as idiocy if read by anyone lacking training. An orientation only precise if someone looking cares to be precise. I chose a man who works afternoons at a municipal lot. A man whose hours make him a fixture rather than a figure. My placement was deliberate. A slit of adhesive film tucked behind a license plate in his truck, so that a cursory check would see nothing unusual. Under magnification, the film would reveal a transferred print impression, a partial loop pattern, out of sequence. Paired with a fiber from my control packet, it forms a thin corridor of suggestion rather than proof. When I left the scene, the sensation was immediate and sharp. Anticipation is its own kind of intoxication. The body remembers the old high and mistakes analysis for hunger. I watched the news until the small hours, counting the cadence of their speculation. The city did its usual work of forgetting and then remembering for disgrace. The trace remained unsung, except in the quiet machinery of evidence logs. And then, in the small hours, I saw the bulletin. Detective Evelyn Maris assigned to coordinate interjurisdictional review of unsolved alignment homicides. It was formatted in neutral prose, but to me it read like an opening. If anyone is to notice what I left, it will be her. If anyone is to understand why I left it, it will be her. This is not surrender. This is an experiment with the face of a wager. I do not expect admission. I expect inquiry. I do not want floodlights. I want an eye. Let's see if she finds me. There is an art to invitation. It cannot beg and it cannot brag. It must simply exist, like an open door that pretends to be a wall until someone intelligent enough tests the handle. My deviation tonight was exactly that, a whisper in material form. I planned it for weeks, but the execution required only minutes. The man's truck was parked beneath a sodium lamp that hummed with the fatigue of long use. Moths circled it like fragments of thought unable to land. He left his vehicle at the same hour every night, precise to within 3 minutes. Predictability is not sin, it is architecture. The city is full of architecture waiting to be used. The act itself was surgical. A single motion of the hand, pressure calibrated, withdrawal timed with the pass of a bus that masked sound. The adhesive film slipped into its recess without wrinkle. No need for force. The truck's metal absorbed the gesture and said nothing. I lingered half a second too long, something between vanity and verification, and in that pause felt the strange intimacy of communication. Not between victim and killer, but between author and reader. I imagined her already, Maris, the patient anatomist of coincidence. She would be standing under the same sterile lamp hours or days from now, her breath fogging faintly in the night air as she leaned close to inspect the detail others missed. I could see her gloved hand tracing the angle of residue, her gaze narrowing. That moment, when recognition crosses her face like dawn through frost, is the true climax of the act. I will never witness it, but I will feel it when it happens. There is a pulse that passes between observer and observed, even across silence. The scientist calls it reaction. The poet, communion. I call it data. Afterward, I sat in my car and wrote her name in the condensation on the window. Maris. The letters blurred almost instantly, but the act steadied me. To name something is to measure it. To measure it is to give it form. That is all I have ever done. I drove without destination, letting the city unfold in predictable geometry. The streets at that hour have a mechanical stillness. No wind, only the echo of infrastructure breathing. I passed a row of shop fronts and saw my reflection multiplied in their glass. For the first time, I did not appear alone. I imagined her reflection beside mine, studying the same symmetry from the other side of the pane. The city is beginning to feel smaller, not physically, but in its patterns. Every intersection seems like a sentence in a language we now share. I leave a clause, she supplies the syntax. Each patrol car's motion feels choreographed, as though we are both composing from opposite ends of a score. Still, the risk is not trivial. To leave evidence is to flirt with entropy. Yet entropy, if measured, can be instructive. My entire life has been a study of control. Now I want to study its corrosion. The fiber, the print, the man's body cooling in anonymity, they are all instruments in a controlled collapse. The news cycle runs its rehearsed pageant. They name the victim, recount his habits, mine the neighbors for adjectives like quiet, kind, ordinary. The pattern repeats, but the undercurrent is changing. I can feel it in the inflection of reporters' voices, the slower phrasing when the subject of forensic linkage arises. Somewhere beneath the rhetoric, a hand is guiding the narrative with subtle pressure. It is her hand. I recognize her style already, the precision of limited disclosure. Only investigators who trust their reasoning ration words that carefully. She releases information the way I release oxygen into fire. Measured, intentional, never for spectacle. I admire the restraint even as I test it. In earlier years, I might have mocked the police, called them predictable, inefficient, but her presence recalibrates the field. To be pursued by intelligence rather than luck is a rare privilege. It validates the craft. I feel a strange gratitude I will never express. Sometimes I think she and I are conducting the same experiment in reverse. She studies what remains. I study what disappears. She looks for pattern. I look for the break-in pattern that reveals design. In the space between those two pursuits, meaning begins to hum. Tonight, as I write this, the hum has returned stronger than ever. It settles in the ribs like low voltage. I imagine it is the sound of attention traveling through invisible circuits. Her gaze touching the scene, her mind aligning with mine across distance and darkness. I wonder if she feels it too. That brief, impossible vibration when two observers discover they are watching each other. This is the first time I have written not as an engineer of silence, but as a participant in its dialogue. The invitation has been sent. The game, no, not a game, something more exact, has begun. She will look. She must. And when she does, the silence will answer.